Kat, and here's Jamie. She's actually joining us from somewhere else tonight. Um, Happy Lughnasadh, everyone. Let me make sure everybody's in here. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Kat. My daughter Jamie is typically the one leading this, and she had a commitment tonight that she couldn't get back from, so she's on her way back, and hopefully she'll join us here in just a little while. But right now, you're stuck with me, so I hope that's okay. Like all of you, I'm a new witch too, so I've been practicing for a couple of years. But I do have Jamie's notes for tonight. So as you know, from our description in the meetup, the theme is Lughnasadh, Happy Lughnasadh. And the themes for Lughnasadh are harvest and gratitude. And excuse me, I'm so sorry. One second. Hi, honey. It's Jamie. I know, honey. I've already got everybody on. I think I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna do the best I can. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Bye. All right. We were trying to get her on the Zoom meeting so that she could add her comments in here, but I do have her notes. So as I was saying, Lughnasadh, this is a time of harvest and gratitude. So since in old days, we would harvest the fields, and so we had certain activities that we would perform. But today, what does that mean for us today in modern times? This is where gratitude comes in, and how can we show gratitude? So the harvest time of year is a product or result of action, and that was the seeds that we planted and the work that we did to grow the crops that we grew in old times. So if we think about that in modern times, what does that look like? What are our daily activities, and how can we show gratitude for those? So some of those might be daily activities, weekly activities, or work, eat, sleep, social relationships, home duties, self-care. So some of the things that you can ask yourself for this time of year to honor this holiday are, how do your actions align with your desires and your life purpose? So this is always at this time of year when we're going into the dark half of the year, this is a time for us to reflect on, is a time for us to go into reflection and this is when shadow work comes into play at this dark half of the year. And we're not in the dark half of the year yet, but we're heading that way as the days get shorter. We head to the shortest day of the year. So when you think about how do your actions align with your desires and your life's purpose, some of the things you can ask yourself are like, what feelings you keep. Now this is all good for those of you who are new or that don't do this already. This is perfect journaling content topics for you to journal about. Journaling is a really important part of this process, of the entire process of being, of what we're doing, the spirituality of the craft. So here's a couple of things that you can ask yourself. So what feelings do you keep returning to that you don't enjoy? If you're a worrier, that's worry, W-O-R-R-Y, in case I'm not saying that very well. If you're a worrier, then you are you're always thinking about the future and worrying about what's going to happen. If you're feeling guilty, and worry and guilt are two very common feelings that people have to contend with every day. And that we don't really like. I think when we think about it, it's like, who wants to sit around and worry? But sometimes we can't help ourselves. And who wants to feel guilty? But sometimes you can't help yourself. So if it's guilt, then you're thinking about past events. If it's worry, then you're thinking about future events. So myself, I tend to live more in my past events. I tend to ruminate a lot on mistakes that I've made, on bad choices, especially bad choices when it comes to relationships, because I can't seem to get it right. Like a couple of failed marriages, a couple long-term relationships that just blew up, and it's like, what am I doing wrong? So I tend to live in the past. Where do you guys, if you were to have to pick worry or guilt, or maybe you can share or would like to share what feeling that you have that you keep returning to, that you don't enjoy, but you find yourself returning to that. Does anybody want to share?
I can share.
Okay.
Because I think this is worry, but I'm not exactly sure if it's more, but I'm a hypochondriac. So the feelings that I always have are like very analytical, analyzing my body and how to fix it, and the reasons for everything, just like trying to be a problem solver. And problem solving is like good, but when it's constantly on my mind, I don't like that feeling.
Right.
So would you say that's like future or present?
I would think that would be future, because presumably you're not sick. Hypochondriac, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's always worrying about your health. You're going to get sick. Is this ailment, or is this whatever symptom that I'm having? Is it something worse than what it actually is? Like, I've got a bad knee. What does that mean? Is there a tumor in my knee or something like that? I'm speaking of myself now, because I do have a knee that's bothering me. And I'm a little worried, like, what's going on there, with that? Do I need to go to the doctor? So I'm thinking that it's a future, that's something in the future that you would be. So it would be worry. So you're worrying about your health, you're worrying about your future, you're worrying how that's going to impact you, even though those thoughts might not manifest themselves exactly in that way. But that, I believe, is what that is. So anybody else want to share what they think about that? What feeling that they keep returning to that they don't enjoy?
Hi, I'm Beth.
Hi, Beth.
Hi. I think the one that I keep returning to is a sort of self-dissatisfaction or even hatred at times, that my life didn't go where I hoped it would. So I guess that's probably past.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hence my embracing this new journey in my life.
Yeah. I can really relate to that, because like I said, I try hard not to live in the past, but I do find myself thinking about things that are done and over with, as I can't change anymore because they're the past, but reflecting on those, and just, it's just stuff that pops up, and I really wish it would just stay back there. So yeah, I definitely think that is, and some of that is guilt for, like, maybe we have guilt that we made the wrong decision. And so if we'd have taken one path we took one path, and we should have taken this other path. So at this point where we had a choice to make, we made a bad choice. So then we're like, oh, how does that reflect on me? So I think that in that case, that we're talking about a past event. Anyone else like to share? Okay. So a couple of us have shared. So we've got two people, Beth and Kat, who are kind of ruminating on past events, and that's affecting our current lives. And it's not something I really enjoy. I'm sure, Beth, you don't either. And then we've got, I'm sorry, Rachel, right? Rachel? Yeah. Who's worrying about her health, and is an admitted hypochondriac, and worries about she's worrying about her future. So again, these are, this is a time, since we're in this half of the year, is to really turn inward and look at ourselves and do some really hard work and do some journaling and ask ourselves a lot of questions, and just keep going down that road, question after question after question. So reflections and shadow work for gratitude. Now, I don't know how I tied that into gratitude, but really it's like, what are we grateful for today? Well, I have a wonderful life, even though I've made these past mistakes. You know, I feel like I really have a great life. First of all, I'm away from that really toxic relationship that I just ended, that really sucked the life out of me for such a long time. And Beth, you probably have a situation in a recent past where you extricated yourself from that, and you're like, glad that's over. Am I right? Yeah.
Yes.
So, you know, so what can we be grateful for today? And here's some shadow work that you can do. So name or identify something to be grateful for. So again, this is you journaling, reflecting, name something, or identify something that you can be grateful for right now. And ask yourself, how does that make you feel? And then answer that 5 times. This is Jamie's recommendation. Answer that 5 times. So how does that make you feel? So I'll start, and maybe we can have, since we've had a couple of people that have offered up their situations for us to kind of use as examples. I'll start with mine, and then Rachel and Beth, if you're comfortable with that, I can let you think for a second about gratitude and how that makes you feel, and we can kind of go down that path, maybe practice it a little bit. So what am I grateful for? Right now, I have a really good life. Yes, I have a great house. I live in a great neighborhood. Every morning I wake up, I've got this cute little puppy that just loves me so much. And how does that make me feel? That makes me feel really, it makes me feel lucky. It makes me feel lucky that I am here where I'm at. It makes me feel thankful that I am here with my family. It makes me feel blissful a lot of days. And why do I feel blissful? Because I can compare this to times when I wasn't feeling this way, when I was so in another time, when I'm comparing that to, and I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this, but I am. So, you know, it makes me feel, that I'm thankful that I'm not where I was, that I've moved past that point, that I'm in another phase of my life, that I have opportunity now. Because I've closed one door, I have opportunity available to me now to make things even better than they are right now. So I don't think I got 5 whys in there, but Beth or Rachel, if one of you would like to take this and maybe tell us how you would reflect on this.
I can start. So something that I'm grateful for right now is I had a really fun weekend doing Reiki attunement stuff. I'm learning how to do Reiki.
Awesome.
And I'm really grateful for that because when I was there, I felt really understood. Unlike, being in modern society, sometimes that stuff is becoming more accepting, but not always. So I felt really understood there. And I also felt really safe and taken care of, just because of the energies. I feel really excited about it because I think I have a lot of potential with healing. That's something that I've been seeking lately. And it makes me feel calm because the people I was with had a lot of good insights, and I think that's 4. I'll keep thinking.
Okay. Well, I think that's wonderful because that is healing. And so are you taking the Reiki classes? So to become a Reiki master, is that what you're doing? And I may be Reiki master. Are you doing that? Or are you doing healing sessions, or what exactly are you doing with your path with Reiki?
So the Reiki classes are like, I don't know what makes it official, but the official Reiki classes are expensive. So I just have been going to like free Reiki shares with like a small group of people. So they kind of like unprofessionally have been teaching me. And I went to like an attunement weekend, which I don't really know what attunement is, but it seems to make it legit. So I got a certificate. Certificates are nice.
I just did that recently too, last month. Me, both Jamie, my other daughter Jolene, my son John, and my daughter-in-law Lisa, we all went to the first Reiki class and we got our first attunement. So that is where a Reiki master like attunes you to the spirits, and now you have that power in you to start practicing healing. And everybody, but so I have to admit something here, which is kind of embarrassing. Like everybody else in my family really got a lot out of it. They like saw things and their vision and all this. And I was like, well, I didn't get all of that. So I don't know if I'm sort of like closed off to it, or I just need to, well, first of all, there was a guy there that just wouldn't shut up. I'm so sorry to say that, but he like talked and talked and talked, and he never let the two ladies get a word in edgewise, and he was just one story after another, and I'm like this, like I'm trying so hard not to roll my eyes, going like, oh my God, dude, please stop talking. So I was a little bit distracted. I'm just going to say that may have had an impact on what I was able to take away from it. But I am reading through the book, and you're right, it is expensive. Here, it's $125 for, like, it's going to cost $500 to take these 3 classes to get Reiki Masters, certificate. So you got to do 3 of them. So I'm not sure I'm going to go to the second one, but I do understand, the healing power of it. And I know you're on this path, and you're very new at this, but you've got all these things going on with you. And I think the fact that you suffer from hypochondria is perfect in this healing, because, you heal thyself. I mean, and you can heal yourself with. In fact, one of the things that you have to do, and I don't know if they told you about the 21-day heal yourself thing, exercises that you do. Yeah. So that's one thing. I have a book, and it's like you do 21 days of self-healing, and then only then after you do all of that can you start to heal other people. But I'm so glad that you're doing that, and I'm glad that you got a lot out of it. And that is wonderful to have all of that, things to be grateful for and to look forward to, and to, have that community that you have met. I assume this is the first time you've met these folks. So that's, I'm really happy for you.
Thank you. And also Jessica said something in the chat. I just wanted to point that out.
Oh, she did?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Thank you. Okay. What'd you say, Jessica? Oh, hang on one sec.
I was just saying that, like, not being able to trust individuals, like, so like worrying about stuff moving forward, but it's kind of like in the past, like they gave reason why you can't trust, so then you're not sure if you can trust moving forward. Just kind of like a past and a future.
Yeah. Well, I think the human experience is that things happen to all of us, and probably when we're young, where we learn pretty early on. I mean, I don't know if this is everybody, if this is universal. Certainly it's not universal, but I think a lot of the human experience is that at some point in our lives, and typically when we're younger, something happens to us and we shut off a part of us because we don't want, something happens to us and we're hurt in some way. And whatever that is, physical, emotional, something else, then we close that part of ourselves off. And I know my personal experience, you guys who've known me, and I've talked about this before, is like, I have these walls around me, and I don't let, I keep everybody at arm's length. I don't trust them. And starting down this path of being a witch, and just, this whole witchcraft for me is a spiritual path. It's a belief in something, I can't follow a religion because I can't subscribe to the patriarchy and, that God is this God that's going to make you burn in hell. And I just can't with that whole notion of it. I'm not going to believe that that's the way that it is. So anyway, not to talk too much about myself, like the guy at the Reiki meeting. I don't want to do that. but we do. I mean, I think we all can probably relate to something in our lives where something happened, and when that thing happened to us, we were like, yeah, no more, never again. So we kind of closed that part of ourselves off. And if I'm understanding you, Jessica, I think that's what you're talking about. So you have this thing from the past that you think about, and then it impedes what's going on in your future as well. So you've got this.
Especially if the person in the past is like the one who's like like doing that, and then like you want to believe in them, and you want to trust, and you want to, because you have a connection with the person, but then it's like you just feel like it can't like be full, like 100%, like you have to be closed off to a degree because they showed their cards like how they are, so it's hard to like.
Yeah,
so it's kind of a mix of past and present.
it almost sounds like to me, and you don't have to tell us who this is that you're referring to, but if you think about parent-child dynamics and how screwed up parent and children can get in their relationships when the parents cross a line, let me just put it that way, or somebody in your family, like you're supposed to, we believe or we think or we hope that we could have good relationships with parents, with siblings, with relatives, but you know what? It doesn't always work out that way because some people just aren't very evolved. I'll just put it like that. So, yeah, that's hard. That's really hard. Beth, would you like to share anything on this topic of, identifying something that you're grateful for and how that makes you feel and the whys of that?
Sure. Well, you had mentioned getting out of a toxic relationship, and I was like nodding all over the place. And the same thing just happened for me. I'm so grateful to be out of that relationship. And the interesting byproduct of getting out of it finally was this sense of like, I'm free. And I realized that like through my entire life, I had like surrendered myself to the control of others and just suppressed everything good about myself, like just a lot of negative stuff. And so I'm grateful for being free. I'm grateful for being courageous enough to start down this path of learning how to be a witch. I have never felt so happy. In the week that I've made this decision, it's like something has just completely transformed in me.
Are you a week into this? Are you a week?
I am just gathering information, and I'm just like throwing
Okay.
myself. Yeah, I haven't.
Oh my gosh.
I've gotten books. I'm like, online, like, how do I meet people? Like,
Congratulations.
Yes,
Thank you.
congratulations and welcome. And I'm glad you found us.
Thank you.
I'm not going to talk smack on my own presenter abilities, but my daughter who runs this group, and I help her, and I'm learning, because at some point in time I'll try to run this group so she can do other things. But she's been a practicing witch for 22 years. Wow. And she really has a lot of knowledge, and she really adds a lot to this. I wish she was here. Those of you who know her, I know you love her. Welcome back from your vacation in Florida, Sarah. I saw your pictures.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Anyway, sorry about that, but I hope you come back, because this is there is a lot to learn, and there's so much information, and it can be overwhelming when you decide to go down this path. And there's so much to read. There's so much available on the internet that there's so many books, there's just all of this stuff out there. So I'm glad you found us. Welcome, Sister Witch. Oh, that's so cool. And I love all of your reasons. I love the way that you stated courage and freedom. And what was the other one? I know it was courage and freedom. And I just love those adjectives that you use to describe your gratitude. I think it's very clear what that, I get a sense of for sure what that meant, what that means to you. So, Sarah with, and I'm Jamie does this. Sorry, hang on one second. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Is it Sarah with an H? I'm sorry, Sarah. No, it's Sarah without an H. Okay. So what we're talking about, Sarah, and since you just joined us, is we're talking about, oh, by the way, Jamie had an appointment and she's trying to get back here for the meeting, but I'm not sure she's going to make it. So I have her notes, but we're in Lughnasadh. This is time of Lughnasadh. This is a time of harvest. Typically we would be, in the old country or in the old times, we would be celebrating, people would be celebrating, bringing in the harvest, all of the hard work that they've done to get the crops raised up and get them ready for harvest. And so what does that mean to us today in a modern world? And how can we show gratitude at this time of year? And so one of the things that we can do is, so harvest, we can look at it as a product or result of our actions. So what have we done this year that we are grateful for, or that we've reaped, and what do we want to get rid of? And we were specifically talking about feelings that keep you. So when we think about gratitude, some shadow work that you can do is, feelings that keep you returning to what you don't enjoy. Like worry. If you're a worrier, you're probably looking into the future and worrying about things that are going to happen. If you're feeling bad or feeling guilty or just feeling less than, you're probably in some past event. So we've talked about that. We've had a couple of people share. And then some shadow work for us to do is to name or identify what something you're grateful for, and then ask yourself, how does that make you feel? And then how does that make you feel? And then how does that make you feel? So that's where we were, just to catch you up really quickly. So the next step, if we want to move on from that topic, is to imagine, or actually do this, and looking in the mirror, or imagine looking in the mirror and see your child self staring back at you. Tell him or her, or show with mental images, or send the feelings of gratitude or joy or love to them. So to me, that brings up a really powerful image, because a lot of my crap that I've drug around for 62 years of my life happened to me when I was really young. I was in a dysfunctional home with a drug addicted mother and I did not feel loved. I was one of 6 kids and I didn't feel like I was loved. So and then my father disappeared. So, that child, if I was looking at that child now, that brings up a lot of emotion for me. I don't know about you guys. And if you want to share, I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to make this all about me. So please, if you can relate to this and you would like to share something about, how would you, what would you say to that child today, if you were looking at yourself? Does anybody want to share that?
Hi.
Hi.
This is some deep work, huh?
It really is. And you know what? It is, it is, you're right. And like I said, when I started this, it's like, this is the time of year, and this might be a lot for you 1 week into this journey.
It's okay. It's okay.
But this is what we call the shadow work. So when you probably read the term shadow work, I know I didn't really understand what it meant, but this is where you're going inside, and this is tough stuff. I mean, this is supposed to be hard. This is not supposed to be a cakewalk when you're asking yourself these questions, when you're journaling about this, when you're thinking about this, when you're, meditating on it. It's hard, because what you're trying to do is resolve that and I think to me, the way that you resolve it is you accept some of these things that have happened and then leave it. So, and also your shadow self is the side of yourself that you don't want anybody to see. So we all have our persona, our public persona, and then we have the one that's behind closed doors, and I don't want to admit to anybody, but I'll admit to you guys that sometimes on Saturday, I don't do anything but lay on the couch and watch TV. And when I say that, it makes me feel really effing lazy. But you know what? Some days I just feel like I need that. And then, but what am I doing? Then I feel guilty about it. So yeah, it is deep. And that's the point of it. And that's the point of this dark half of the year where we go inside, we look deep inside, we ask ourselves these questions, we write about it. And it's a process to get through it. You're not going to probably write about it one time and be done with it. You're going to have to come back to it. And maybe for some time, because these are not small pieces of who we are. So that was a lot. And I'm sorry to put this on you, but if you'd like to share something with us, I would love to hear from you.
So you said that you would look in the mirror and you would try to visualize your child self.
Yes.
And then send that child gratitude, joy, or love.
Yes.
So I would
mental images,
or just good mental images.
Mm-hmm. Send them. Yeah. That's what she's got here. So show with mental images or send the feeling of gratitude, joy, or love to them.
Okay. I mean, the image that just came into my head is just like a field of wildflowers and that little girl just running through completely like in joy and bliss. So I want the child self of me to just be freed from all of the crap from the past.
And that's funny you say that, because that image of a child running through a field of wildflowers made me think of freedom, which was something that relates back to something you said a minute ago about how what you're grateful for right now is being free of this toxic relationship and having freedom from it and all of the things and all the negativity that went along. So there's a perfect what's the right word that I'm looking for? Connection between those two, between what you said and then the child that image that you brought up. So I love that. Beth, do you have something you'd like to share with us? Beth? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just
Rachel, I'm sorry. I meant Rachel. My apologies.
Yeah, so I've just been writing down my answers as you said this, like I'm talking to that little girl, because recently I got a hypnotherapy session because my neighbor is a hypnotherapist, my neighbor at the house I was at on vacation anyways, and he was talking about like what you would say to the little Rachel, and so I'm thinking about that image in my mind of what I got when I was in that trance. And I'm in second grade and I'm looking out the window during math class, and I'm not paying attention at all because I hated math. I thought it was so boring. And I'm telling her in my journal that like your mind is so creative and so smart and passionate, and you think deeply so you don't have to understand the superficial, because I was so stressed out about understanding school and being able to pay attention, and I wasn't diagnosed with ADHD until way later, but looking back I realized I can see it and how much anxiety it gave me. And I just want to tell that little girl that your mind is so much smarter, and your mind is so much more amazing than you realize.
Yeah, definitely. That's beautiful.
Thanks.
Okay, so that is, so that's the end. I know this is short, but there's, I think that, and I know for me, there's some journaling that I can do with my junk that I have to, oh, she's here. Oh, hi. Okay. Well, I was going to wrap it up, but I would really like Jamie to come in and say a few words. And if you guys will bear with me, I'll just kind of fill her in on really quickly on what we talked about, and then let her have some input here, because I think she'll have some really good insights for, hey, no Tank. So Tank is here. I guess one of the things I was going to say after, since I got through her notes, what I wanted to share is, so I follow a lot of different witchy things on Instagram. And is anybody into tarot? Does anybody like to do their tarot cards, read themselves?
Yes.
Show of hands. Yeah. Okay, good. Me too. I love that. And I found a couple of things that I thought were really, really good that would be good for this topic for Lughnasadh. There was I got to find it now. There was a spread, but you can, you can literally, gosh, all photos. Okay. For heaven's sake. I was doing something earlier and now this is just a big mess. Okay, one second. So let me find this, because I really think this is great. Because it asks you the questions and you can use the cards. You can use the cards to, hold on, girls, sorry. 1 second. Shit. Oh, good, you're here. So glad. I was going to share something that I found on Instagram. It was a reading that you can do, but I just got through your notes.
Okay, my notes.
Yeah. So
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm late.
most people but we have a new person tonight, Beth. She's literally like just started to explore witchcraft in the past week or so. I don't know if you heard that. So say hi, Beth.
Hi, Beth.
This is Jamie.
Hi.
And so we got through your notes.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about gratitude. We talked about, some things that we're grateful for, and the whys.
Yeah.
The whys.
How well did everybody understand the why thing? That I'm sorry. Can I kind
Yeah,
of?
no,
Because
absolutely, please.
This is from some psychological studies that you guys know. That was my degree, but this is what helps you get to the root of things. So what it is it's like feeling. What was the question? Because this is different for the gratitude part of it.
Okay, so it was name or identify something that you're grateful for.
All right.
How does it make you feel? Answer why 5 times.
Yes. So the feeling that you get, because usually the surface level stuff is like, it makes me feel happy. Okay, why does it make you feel happy? Because I'm more secure. All right, well, why are you secure? What did that do for you? And so what you do is you start to break down these little nuances of when you go from your child self and you grow up, you cover up a ton of things and you use it like very vague language. I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm okay, things are great. We get those little words that just blow off our true feelings and what actually happened and why. So as you go through the why is that and why is that and why is that, so it's really repetitive and hard. And if you come across that you can't think of if you don't have another answer for the why, write that down 3 times. If that's like the last 3 things, you're like, no, it's just because of this. And guess what? You don't need to really do anything on that then. You're good. If there's if you don't need to go deeper, that's okay. Start a new thing. So that's the why stuff.
Okay. And actually, and Beth and Rachel both did a really excellent job with their whys. I just have to say, so they had some really good whys, and were able to kind of dig like this is why, this is why, this is why.
Getting
So,
deeper.
but I didn't realize that it was the layers. We did talk about, the stuff. A lot of times things happen to us. This was early on when, things happen to us a lot of times when we're young and we build up these walls.
We do, yeah.
We put up these walls around us, and then, or we say no more of this or no more of that, and we block that off from ourselves. So that's kind of where we were going with, the question was, what are the feelings? Why do you keep returning to these feelings that you don't enjoy?
Yeah.
And that's where that conversation kind of took us was, this stuff that happens to you when you're young, and you really don't know why you worry about the future. You're like, or you're feeling guilty or sad, or just, maybe down on yourself about choices that you've made in your past. So,
yes. Well, I'll tell you that guilt, we don't even realize that we have it. And when you explore guilt from your childhood, it's really revealing as to what you identify that people made sacrifices for you. And we often aren't told that at all. It's like, no, those are my parents. That's what's expected. But parenting, everything to do with parenting is a sacrifice in some shape or form, because you're taking somebody else's life ahead of your own. So when you start acknowledging that even if your parents didn't do the best job, the sacrifices that they had to make just to get where they were, I was going to talk about, my dad made a choice and he got locked up for 20 years of my childhood. So he was able to call me every week or something. That's not the same thing as having a dad. But where I find gratitude in that is without the absence of him, I wouldn't have been able to discern all these different types of male personalities, because I didn't have one right in front of me. I got to see them from afar rather than have just my dad in front of me and be like, that's my standard of a man. So that's where, for me, I'm like, all right, most people would say, I'm really grateful that I went without a father for a while. But you look at it in terms of, what did it teach you? So I did try to focus more on the positive side, because this is like a grateful holiday, even though there's supposed to be some reflecting. But I always do say, when you look at your hurts, try to figure out how you can be grateful for the things that they did for you, for sure. Okay.
Yeah. And so Beth is just recently out of a toxic relationship, which we have that in common. And, I'm finally looking back on that now. I don't know if I say I'm thankful for it, but not yet anyway. I guess I'm thankful for the experiences that I had with him. Maybe not all the BS some of the times, but still the whole journey. I can still look at things and say, I can still look at things and say there were good things that came out of it. And he had redeeming qualities, even if things just really went south and, I had to move, or didn't have to move, but I moved, 1,000 miles to break free of it finally, to really cut that off. So, all right. So let's see. We were doing the, look in the mirror, see yourself as a small child, and, either show him with mental images or send feelings of gratitude and joy to them. So I don't know. We kind of did through that. So we walked through that.
What questions do we have about any of the information? Because I gotta tell you, my mom took this on in 3 seconds. I couldn't log on from my phone. So I was like, oh, you got it. It's all you. So sorry. And she's reading my notes. She has no idea, the things like Trello. I had on there a Trello talk thing.
I knew that wasn't for this meeting.
But it was, because one of the things with identifying your actions is there's an app for free called Trello, and I had to do it at my last job, but we were challenged for a week to actually log in every single thing you do every day. Like if you sit down to eat, when you're driving to work, when you go to sleep. And so what happens is that after 1 week, you've got this time of you spend this many hours sleeping, driving, eating, effing around on your phone, whatever it is, but it's to bring you into that mindfulness place of, damn, I always say I don't have time for this or that, but in the past week, I sat on my phone for 3.5 hours doing what? What did I get with that time? So it's the harvesting, reaping what we get from our actions. It was an idea to throw out there. It's very hard to do. It's a very big challenge. Try it for one day to record all of the stuff that you do, and you'll see, you're like, oh my God, I gotta log this again. But the afterward is it's really rewarding, only because you can reflect and go, ooh, yeah, I really don't, I have like all this free time. Actually, I could be doing these things I want to do, like going to the gym or meditating or, whatever it is. Because we
Nope.
often say we don't have time for stuff, right?
Well, one of the things, and I always feel like in this group that I can be vulnerable.
Oh.
So I can tell you guys, because I know you guys can relate, first of all, and you're not gonna, out of
Judge?
respect, well, you're not gonna judge and you're not gonna tell anybody. And if you did, they wouldn't know who I was anyway, but.
And an individual.
But I admitted to sometimes on a Saturday, all I do is lay on the couch and watch TV. And sometimes I feel several things. One, like I need that. Two, I'm lazy. And three, like, oh my God, what could you have gotten done today that you didn't get done? So that's probably part of my shadow work because I want to meditate. I want to do all these things. I have crafts all over my kitchen table. My dining room table is my crafting table now.
Yeah.
So, time better spent. But anyway, and I'm trying to find that tarot spread. There was a tarot spread for Lughnasadh that had the harvesting questions. And I'm sorry, I can't find it on Instagram, but when I do, I'll post it in the meeting. I apologize. I was looking for it and I'm like, where did it go? I swear I saved it, but I can't find it right now. So.
Well, I think I originally started out with what questions do we have about any of the information since my mom had to take this over. So we'll just open up the floor, the floor to anybody who wants to ask questions or I know brand new 1 week into witchcraft and exploring stuff. So the floor is your guys's. Nothing? Oh, wait.
Hi.
Oh. Hi.
So the shadow work is very interesting to me, and I have come across it now since I started to read different things and just try to gather information.
Yeah.
So, and your mom was explaining that we have a shadow self that we don't show the world. So the shadow work is to help us know ourselves better.
Yeah.
So that we can practice magic better.
Yeah. So the one thing that you will hear me say over and over again, there's only one tool that you really need in order to perform anything, and that is your mind. And when you can have a very focused mind, your magic is going to be stronger. So in a lot of stuff that I teach, it's all about getting your mind to that place of security, confidence, and focus. Things like meditation, mindfulness, taking away our negative self-thoughts, journaling, getting rid of guilt, old pains, all of that stuff that we try to work through just so that each time we do our magic, it just gets stronger. It's not that you can't do it now, because if you are in a place of pain, your feelings are so high that you're going to radiate that energy outward, whatever you're looking for. But if you're walking around unknowingly radiating negative energy because you are sad and depressed, those are the things you're going to attract to you. So on the opposite scale, as you heal yourself through going through shadow work, and shadow work is it's identical to psychological work, where you're trying to work through your issues and find that common place with yourself to go, I love who I am, including all the scars and all the bullshit I've been through. I love myself. I know who I am. And I want to be here, like in that spot at that time, and I want to grow. I think that's the first part that people usually are attracted to within spirituality and witchcraft is like the growth that can happen personally and the way that you can really empower yourself. Nobody's going to give you that power. You're born with it. You've just stopped acknowledging it. And this is a way to get it back. This is a way to sit down with yourself and go, I want to remember that I came into this life with purpose. I'm off my track. I want to get back there. I want to own my power again. I want to do cool shit. And that's where this leads you to, with the work that you do on your mind gets you to that place. That's how the two relate. So a lot of stuff that I talk about is definitely psychology, but it's because as you sharpen your mind, as you become more aware of yourself, everything that you do from that is the energy that you put forth is just more powerful. It's more focused. It's more tuned. You don't, if you're trying to meditate or do a spell and you have these other thoughts coming into your head, you got to pick somebody up, you didn't pay a bill, something, whatever the little thoughts are. it messes with you when you're trying to really, I was going to say
Focus.
manifest, but yeah, the focusing
Focus.
on what you want. If you have this other stuff coming in and like poking at your brain while you're trying to do this, you're not as effective. I'm not going to say you're not effective at all. You will be, because every time that you think about it, it's feeding it more energy. But
and that's an important point. What you think about, you give energy to. So that's another reason to clear this stuff, that we drag around with us as humans.
do.
It's part of our nature to drag this stuff around with us because we don't really know any better. We don't learn until we start going down a path of trying to exercise ourselves from it or excise it from our lives, cut that shit out and get rid of it, or put it to bed, put it to rest, be like, okay, I did that. I made that choice. It caused all this. And, and I came out okay. I'm still a good person. I can still do good things.
I was looking for my crown.
It's over there. I'm going to get my drink. So I'll give you your
Okay.
crown if you like. Excuse me.
Well, the shadow work, you'll find a lot of stuff on it, but the easiest thing that you can do is the feelings that you're experiencing, anything on, this is crazy, but psychology.com, all you're doing is taking the words that they have there. Now I'm in full dress. All you're doing is taking the words from psychology.com and applying it in a way that is also spiritual. And remember that as you work on yourself, your mind and your feelings, that is because when you sit down with yourself and you want to cast something into fruition, when you want to ask for things to come into your life, you can do that with a sound mind, with, a very focused, clean mind.
So something else I recently discovered that's remarkably close to what we're doing here is Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza, if anybody's ever heard of him. He's written several books, and it's all about, it's like evolve your brain. It's how people have healed themselves from like cancer and all of these terrible diseases with their mind. So this is how powerful our mind is. So if you want, it's great audio books because they're pretty thick books to read. But if you have an audio subscription, Google Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's got a lot of stuff. He also teaches how to do meditation, how to get really deep so that you can go and really manifest things. And I love how what he talks about ties in with what we do here with spirituality, witchcraft, and manifesting.
It's energy work. Yeah.
It's energy work. That's what it is.
It would be the same thing as chakras. When you look into your energy centers, all very, very true. And that's he'll teach people how to align or awaken their energy centers after, you can look at your symptoms and see.
My dog can you see my dog? He's just all over her. He just likes to give her so many kisses, and she doesn't make him stop. So of course he just.
I love him. But so with the energy centers, and you can have symptoms, and it'll tell you exactly which energy center is off because of those physical symptoms, which I find just mind blowing. Where of all the people that I know, and we looked at these things, I'm like, oh my gosh, that is spot on for, having whatever chakra upset. Chakras are like little wheels of energy within your body. So you have your like physical body, you have your soul, your etheric body, the energy body that spills out from that. All of those things are the same as energy work with our mind, where we can create that field to be stronger, that presence when you walk into a room or when you're greeted by somebody and their energy is infectious and they're like, oh man, I really like that person. They were so nice. Totally my vibe. Or the other people where as soon as they talk to you, you're like, ugh, I feel like I just walked into a dirty bathroom. I don't know what's wrong here. And that's their energy, that they have surrounding themselves. And energy can't lie. Man, you could put somebody with bad energy in the best suit in the hottest car and they will still stink because their energy is off,
Well, and sometimes I think, and a lot of why we're maybe drawn, those of us who are drawn to witchcraft are drawn to it, it's a spiritual path, is because we have an energy maybe that we're needing to let go of. I'm going to speak for myself because I'm a really fun, nice person, but you would never know that if I was just walking down the street. Every best friend I ever had is like, when I first met you, I thought you were the biggest bitch in the world. And things happen to me, and I put up this wall, and everybody was at arm's length. So that was the energy that, stay the hell away from me energy that I was putting off. And I'm really working hard on that. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job most days. So.
She has improved greatly. The whole family has noticed that. So yes, absolutely.
And now I'm throwing myself back out into dating again. Oh my God.
After you can heal from stuff, you're available again. Because when you're hurt from something,
I hope I'm ready. I hope so. I guess I'll find out.
With pain anchors you to the past. If you remember your pain every single day, you'll keep reliving that pain over and over again. I experienced it for about 15 years. And then one day I just decided, I was like, I'm going to forgive this person who was super effed up. And I didn't believe it the first time I said it, the first couple of times I said it, but I wanted it. I was like, I want to let this go. And letting this go means that I have to forgive and be like, you know what? I'm not going to take it personal. I'm just going to say, you're on your own path. You have your own things to learn. And I almost said I was a victim of that. I was in the way while you were learning, and I got damaged. And so to stay damaged is my choice. He moved on with his life. What I said was also with my spell, that I didn't want him to be able to hurt anybody else. He was a very emotionally damaging person. He was just a coworker, so it wasn't anything like relationship, but as a friend, very, very damaging. And when we looked him up online, like he was in another, what do you call that? Like a charge. He had another charge. He's living in some other state somewhere else. And, it was like
I wanted to go exact revenge. I'll just tell you the story.
My mom wanted to drive down
I was
there.
ready to look him up. I did. We were driving from Kansas City to here 2 years ago, and we were talking about it. And I started looking him up. And like, I'm going to find him, and I'm going to ruin his life.
That's the old her.
Because he fucked with my daughter, God damn it, and she was still messed up at that time, about it. I mean, she was still really in a lot of pain. She had gone through a lot and lost a lot because of it, her whole career in the Navy. And so I wanted to exact revenge on this guy. And when we found him, he had so this guy had been in the Navy, right? He should have been doing well. He was doing some menial ass job. I mean, I was like, oh, wow. So karma, right? Because you should have been doing a lot better than that. And I think she told me, let it go. Because I literally would have driven to Texas and done something. I don't know what,
There was just, but I guess you get to a place and you just have to separate yourself from the other people and go, they're on their path. I have my own path. I'm only in charge of my path. If I keep trying to look at their path and go, why, I'm going to lose focus of my own path and I'm going to be stuck. And I wanted that anchor. I wanted that line cut between the two of us. And for me, it was saying, I forgive you, because I heard that somewhere, I think. Like you're supposed to forgive the wrongdoer. Okay, fine. I don't have to like it. I don't agree with it. I'm not telling him that it was okay, but in order
that's not that easy to do.
No. And it feels like you're lying to yourself when you first do it, for sure.
Yeah.
But over time, I was like, you know what? I really do hope he gets help. Because if he could be another bright and shiny person out there in the world making good things happen, I'm all for that. I do believe that anybody can change if they really want to, but it takes them recognizing, and that's what we're all doing here. We all recognize that we want to get better. We want to learn something. We want to change that energy around us. We want to grow in that really positive way. And
spread that out into the world and let that go
Yes.
and change and help other people. So I think that's the path. That's what this path is about. Is helping yourself and then letting that energy go out into the world. Because man, there's a lot of shitty stuff out there going on. I'm telling you. And I have to say to myself when I see it, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to add to that. I want to put out a good vibe.
Yeah.
So Jamie's told the story here, Beth, about her car driving in Florida is, where are you from, Beth? I'm sorry, we didn't ask you.
I'm in Florida.
Okay, so you're familiar with Florida roads, highways, how crazy it is to drive here. I would call her, she'd be talking to me on the phone in the car, and all of a sudden it'd be like, fuck you, she'd be screaming out her window and stuff to people that it would be like she would have Tourette's. And I was like, oh my God, calm down. So she had, and then on top of that, so she read, not only did she used to cuss out drivers, but then she saw a lot of accidents around here where she lives. It's a super busy intersection. I mean, bicyclists killed, just bad accidents, right? Really close to her house where she has to turn in. And she was afraid. She became fearful of driving, like anxious that something was going to happen. And so you can talk about that if you want. But yeah, so it's these kinds of things where when you make this conscious effort, you can change the energy around it. But you have to recognize it. And then you have to make the conscious effort to change it. So that's what I believe the path that we're all on or trying to be on, learning to be on, going down.
Yeah. Because sometimes when stuff happens to you, you feel like the victim, right? You had no play in it. You had no choice. You were a bystander and got hurt. And when we take that role as the, shotgun seat in our lives and we just say, no, this happened to me. Well, you can stay in that mode, or you can regain control and be like, I'm driving now. And I'm not going to let, I'm going to educate myself enough, raise my energy enough to where this is not going to happen again. And we have victim stuff happen to us because we want to believe that there's good in the world, and we want to keep trying and helping people. As empaths, that's normally what happens to all of us. We're like, I believe in the good in people. And then we get hurt and you're like, yeah. So we become
People
jaded.
suck. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't say that anymore, but
I don't say that anymore either. Even though it's sometimes true.
That choice of, you can acknowledge that whole world still exists and know that you can't change it and then be really down about it. Or you can go, there's a ton of people out there also looking for light and inspiration and to live on a different wavelength than all of this crazy stuff. I'm going to choose them. So that's what made me start this meetup. I wanted to choose all of you who show up here and wanted to be part of that brighter light, to be better, to live up here and not all in the gunk,
the muckety muck.
The muck. So this is my first time stepping out to be the light for other people. People would know me personally in my life, but I never put myself out there for this. And, now it's been many, many moons that I've been doing this. I'm like, this is definitely my path. This is where I belong. And it took all that other BS to get here. So I have to look back and go, all right, I didn't like it, but I'm glad. Or I'm grateful. That's what it is. It's the grateful season.
So I know you guys are really new, some of you, but if you have a story that you would like to share, similar to what we've shared about ourselves, feel free. The floor is open.
I just want to acknowledge Donor.
Yeah, I saw her for a second. Donor, are you still with us? I don't know what your real name is, but your message says Donor. I mean, you're
Donor.
okay.
It's all right if they don't want to talk. That's all
I
right.
think it's Donner.
Oh,
I don't know.
not
I need to head out, but thank you.
All right. Hey.
Thank
see
you,
next
Rachel.
time.
Thank you, everyone, for being here and staying with me while I went through Jamie's notes.
Yes, thank you for her first meetup.
And making my first meetup a good one. I appreciate you. Take
Bye.
care. Hope to see you again, Beth.
Yeah, it was really great meeting you both. Thank you for doing this, really.
Of course. Hey, and
What part of Florida are you in, Beth?
Daytona Beach.
Okay.
all
All right.
That's not
Across
too
the
far.
pond or on the other side.
Oh,
So
you're right.
we're in, she's in Nokomis and I'm in Venice. So Sarasota County.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
a straight shot over.
Yeah.
But I was going to let you know, since you're brand new, I tell everybody, if you have questions or whatever, I'll give you my cell phone number. You can shoot me a text anytime. If you just have little questions, because that's the kind of stuff that comes up when you're just beginning. You're like, oh my God, this plethora of everything. What do I want to do? Where do I start? And I would totally, do a call with you one-on-one if you wanted to ask more questions. I know that being in a group setting like this is kind of.
She wasn't shy.
Oh, good, great.
No, I'm really.
She wasn't shy. I think she was one of the first ones who spoke up when I asked questions.
Hey,
So
all right,
yeah,
awesome.
so she's definitely not shy.
I got this book, and I don't know what you've heard of it or what you think of it, but I didn't know where to begin.
Yeah. Well, so what attracted you to the book?
Because I had started on a YouTube video, somebody was talking about it and they mentioned shadow work and energy work, or
Yeah.
maybe they're the same thing, I don't know.
Very
But
similar, yeah.
and so something I had been watching and said that pretty much what you're saying is that like you have to prepare yourself to be on this path. Like you have to heal yourself, you have to learn about yourself, like all of that work has to happen before you actually start trying to do spell work and
And I think you can learn though, as you, so I mean, I've been doing this for 2 years. And by this, I mean, following this path and trying to be a better person, a more enlightened person, a person who puts out, radiates a certain energy into the world. And what I'm doing is that I'm gathering information. So I started my own book of things that I want to remember that I know eventually that I'm going to use in spells, because I've seen enough spells. I've read enough to know there's herbs and there's candles and there's moons and there's days and there's color correspondences and there's all these things that I'm not going to remember when the time comes and I want to do a protection spell. So I would recommend that, so you don't have to just do your shadow work, because that's tough.
That's tough to do.
And yeah, that's a really tough place to start. So I mean, you know, one of the books that I have, a book that I read that's really short. It's like 30 days, you know, and you had different steps that you could do in 30 days. I can put it in the chat when I get back home. I'll look it up. I can't think of the name of it right now, but it was a really short book.